Good evening, everybody. Good evening. We've had the show before the beginning of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Ms. Sugars, would you take roll, please?
Mr. Goodwin,
Here.
Mrs. Judge, Mrs. Judge,
Here.
Mrs. Matlack,
Here.
Mrs. Seidel,
Here.
Mrs. Scarpolino,
Here.
Mrs. Schultz,
Here.
Mr. Tomlinson, Dr. Wong, Dr. Dickinson.
Here. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our June work session. Obviously, we have quite a few people in here, so if you would kind of try and keep it. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Obviously, we have a lot of people here, so if everybody could kind of just keep it down so everybody can hear what's going on, we'd much appreciate it. We'll start off with our first public comment. At this time, you'll have 3 minutes to address anything on our action agenda only for this evening. Please note the green light will turn yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining. The light will turn red when your 3 minutes are up. Anybody have anything to share about tonight's action agenda? Nope. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to our presentation, which I'll turn it over to Dr. Malash.
Thank you, Dr. Dickinson. I'm going to ask Mrs. Wilson to join me at the microphone. We have a number of groups that we are very pleased to recognize and have the Board of Education recognize this evening. So, Mrs. Wilson, if you'll meet me in the center.
Okay, so, excuse me. So first tonight, we're going to be recognizing our student board representatives and alternate representatives who have worked with the board for the 2016-2017 school year. We would like to recognize our East representative, Caitlin Boyle. Our East alternate representative, Ezra Nugel. West representative, Molly Birch. And West alternate, Abby Spencer. We also tonight are welcoming our new student board reps for the 2017-2018 school year. From Cherry Hill East, the representative this year will be Joshua Sadikoff. East's alternate representative was unable to attend tonight. She told me she was leaving on vacation, but her name is Lauren Atkin. And we also welcome our West student representative, Carly Cohen. And our West alternate, Gay Brown. So after each round of recognitions tonight, Dr. Mahan is going to go out front in the Malberg building. You all, as soon as you get your certificates, may just go out front with her. She'll take a group picture, and you are free to go. If you would like to come back and stay with us, you're welcome to. I'm going to get the certificates. All right, next up, we're recognizing a Rosa 7th grader who actually was a finalist in the Scripps National Spelling Bee this year, Shrutika Padhi. She's a 7th grader from Rosa. For those who had not heard, too, Shrutika actually placed 22nd last year, and her goal this year was to be a finalist. So I would say she did very, very well this year, 7th place. All right, next group recognized is the John A. Carusi Middle School softball team. These girls had an undefeated season under the direction of Coach George Hanna. Excellent work. So we'd like them to come up and get your certificate, shake hands.
This isn't set up very well for me, but we can leave it go. Naomi Aristone. Thank you, sir. Jess Bianco. Otherwise, Speedy Rara. Meredith Berkner. Congratulations, Matt. Lily Burke. Caleb Dudley. Antoinette Getty. Olivia Joyce. Nadia Gomez. Emily Weasel. Cameron Kitchen. Charlotte Rice. Harry Rice. Kelly Short. Isabella Sylvester. Kayla Thompson. And Isabella West. Thank you. I don't have any remarks to share. Thank you so much.
That's unusual for me. Next, we have the Rosa International Middle School boys basketball team, also undefeated this year, under the direction of Coach Jules Farkas. Give you these to read off.
I don't have everybody here.
It's okay.
It's okay.
You can sort through whoever's not
Okay.
here. Just keep moving.
Oh, that's right, fine. Ready? Sure. Okay. Ben Adler. Kylie Kino. Devin Challenger. That's it. Lucas Flynn. Stephen Flynn. Mikat Hadi. Richie Hampton. Matt Lang. I know he's here. Owen O'Connell. Yeah. Aiden Page. And Khalid Page. I never get them apart. Kyler Petrie. Thank you. He's our 8th grade president. Yep. Jonathan Shahar. Our short point guard, Peter Slattery. Noah Stoffman. That's it. That's it.
Next, we are recognizing the Cherry Hill High School West football team for their best season record since 1967 under the direction of Coach Brian Wright.
Nick Alberto. DeAndre Benson. Carlos Cesario. McKay Cobb. Harrison Hand. Lorenzo Hernandez. Cameron Hoffman. Isaiah Ishmael. Lorps Menard. Isaac Parkinson. Samir Parks. Rashad Rand. Terrell St. John. Matush Savicki. Chase Tinsley. George Visionarius. Mike Colella. Nick DeVitro. Luke Doto. Tyler Ganaway, Tyrell Lewis, Willie Mack, Sean McGee, Ryan Mallon, George Pizant, John Robertson, Chris Robertson, Noah Schmatzer, Aldine Semyonovic, Colin Stevens, Michael Alberto, River Banks, Alex Can, Sal Chiaro, Elijah Kosame, Dorian Davis, Mo Essa, Lenny Fernandez, Matt Figueroa, Miles Frazier, Carlos Gomez, John Gray, Nick Jester, Nate Lato, Johnny Iannucci, and Drew Lipford.
All right, also from Cherry Hill High School West, we have the boys soccer team. This year's Olympic Conference champions under the direction of varsity coach Dan Butler.
Thank you, Barbara. Andrew Robertson. Michael O'Connell. Stephen Young. Patrick Hugel. Max Bond. Ryan Dugan. Kevin Hoxa. Elliot Kumba. Jason Cahan. Ishmael Bokai. Jack Sweeney. Brandon Nam. Eric Reyes Munez. Joseph Baldarago. Grant Gunnerson. Frank Papaccio. Chris Juan. Good job, Chris. Nolan Taylor. Zach Bruno. Sean Aptian. Sean Tyler. Dimitri Malarios. Is that close? Michael Clemens. Ryan McMillan. Jack Owens. Jake Morazzo. Chase Seguros.
And moving on to Cherry Hill High School East. Tonight we're recognizing the East girls tennis team. State sectional champions under the direction of Coach Mary Jewett.
Next to me. Thank you. I was trying to figure out why we're being honored. We were the state sectional champions in a very competitive South Jersey league. This is Veronica. Say hi. Hi. Girl on our team. Matea Boyarski. Jenna Camacha. Rebecca Collicott. Thank you. I like your bow tie. Thank you. I like it. Very nice. Jocelyn Doroton. Sunny Dashi. Pallavi Gokuldas. All our girls are not here. We have 40, and they're studying for exams. Gabriela Gracias. Sarah Jang, Rebecca Collicott's partner, who won the coaches tournament in all South Jersey. Juliana Johnson. Michaela Kennedy. Mari Kimenker. Freshman, varsity starter. Aditi. Nice job, Aditi. Nikita Pejavara. Nice job. Joy Rosenberg. Nice job, Joy. Sherry Chow. Landon Tenenbaum. Natalie Yanisov. The last girl I'm going to call is on a scholarship to Quinnipiac College. We're a no-cut program. We have beginners to scholarship players. And I'd like to introduce Stephanie Yanisov. And this is her sister. Thank you very much, board. Thank you. Pardon me?
And next we have the Cherry Hill High School East girls swim team. This year, the girls won the South Jersey Group A sectional title under the direction of Coach Anita Bowser.
Hello. Isabel Landino. Carrie Beckstrom. Julia Benedetto. She's not here. Sophia Benedetto. Abigail Calisterio. Carissa Campbell. I'm sorry. Sierra Carey. She's not here. Katie Cotter. Megan Kusick. She's not here. Samantha Dayton. Brianna Desani. She's not here. Catherine Doyle. Lauren Edson. Tatiana George. Georgia Gray. Mary Gray. Nicole Harms. Catherine G. Maddie Kagan. Lauren Kerner. Gwen Kramer. Julia Langmuir. Lizzie Losner. Alex McCormick. Claire McFadden. Carolyn Murch. Abby Mogul. Atsana Mujibian. Ali Mora. Gracie Morrow. Jess Parkhill. Nicole Perez. Kylie Price. Allison Quay. Erin Quay. Abigail Roncase. Rachel Ralph. Sydney Simmons. Lauren Smith. Lily Smith. Katie Suarez. Gabriela Valadares. Alyssa Walter. Carolyn Wong. Molly Ward. Nicolette Warrington. And our state champ, Grace Yoon. Thank you.
Okay, last team recognized tonight is the Cherry Hill High School East Boys Swim Team. This team earned the state championship for the third year in a row.
Okay. Christian Alcamo. Justin Anderson. Jose Andino. Jackson Brookover. David Cheng. Anthony Cheng. David Cheng. Kurt Cumber. Vinny Eisner. Justin Funari. Kevin Galuli. Charlie Hess. Andrew Hudson. Bobby Irwin. Michael Langmuir. Elena. Kira Mahoney. Aaron Schiff. Noah Shepard. Aiden Sims. Mike Simmerling. Ethan Stamen. Tyler Tedesco. Jeffrey Tang. Christian Termini. Robbie Thompson. Lucas Tran. Mike Treglia. Don Walters. And Jack Watson.
together. Very traditional principle, patriarchal, but I was kind of an outlier, and he supported me with all the ideas and the innovation that I brought to him, and he was, one of the role models that I keep in my mind, one of the heroes. And then I moved to Beck Middle School when Tracy Miller opened that school, and it was at the beginning of middle school reform, and that was an amazing experience for all of us because it was interdisciplinary teaching, and we worked in teams, and we created our own curricula, and it was just a remarkable experience. And so all of the teachers there, Dick Levy, these are names in my head, and so many memories, come back for all these years. And then I stayed home with my children for a number of years and became involved as a volunteer in my own district, which is Abington, Pennsylvania. And became involved in gifted education as a volunteer and had a parent advisory board. So I know the dedication that all of you, devote to the work that you do, which is always so very important. And I must say that when I started teaching, I had no idea about governance. I made mistakes, like I had my students purchase books. Who knew that they had to have board approved? To be supported by this district. It is a very special place to be. All of the teachers just are amazing. And I'm just very proud. I'm just very lucky. I have a wonderful life with my family and my school family. So I brought something that I shared with the teachers at East yesterday. John Burns is here, and he told me I should have my tissues, and I told him I wasn't going to cry. But anyway, this is a little something that I hope you will read. It is very close to my heart. It talks about the nobility of the education profession, and every one of us, every person who works in schools, is an educator. We're all teachers, every minute, every day. And the devotion that people give, the expertise that we bring, to the work that we do, it's a passion, it's a mission. And I wanted them to remember that as we're so busy all the time, all of you are so busy, we're busy, we sometimes forget, about what is at the core of the work that we do. So I hope sometime when it gets to be impossible that you read that and you remember. And the other thing that I talked with them about, I think is very important, that we in public
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Judge,
I need to abstain as to the Cooper Health System on the bill list. Yes to the rest.
Mrs. Matlack,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
I need to abstain with respect to CDW on the bill list. Yes to the rest.
Mrs. Scarpellino,
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz,
I need to abstain to Beata Home Health on the bill list. Yes to the rest.
Mr. Tomlinson,
Abstaining from Bancroft NeuroHealth on the bill list. Yes to the remainder.
Dr. Dickinson.
Yes to all. Mrs. Judge, would you move the HR agenda for us, please?
I would be delighted, Dr. Dickinson. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following: number 1, termination of employment certificated; number 2, termination of employment non-certificated; number 3, appointment certificated; number 4, appointments non-certificated; number 5, assignment salary change non-certificated; number 6, other compensation certificated; number 7, other compensation non-certificated; number 8, approval of sidebar agreement; number 9, approval of sidebar agreement; and number 10, other motions. We do have a pink sheet, and under number 10, we will be taking the pink sheet revised for what we're voting on. Do I have a second? Mrs. Matlack, are there any questions? Seeing none, Mrs. Sugars.
Mrs. Judge,
Yes to all.
Mr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Matlack,
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel,
Yes.
Mrs. Scarpellino,
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz,
Yes.
Mr. Tomlinson,
Yes to all.
Dr. Dickinson.
Yes to all. Going to turn the microphone over to Dr. Malash for an introduction.
Thank you, Dr. Dickinson. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce someone who is here with us this evening who you just approved. Mr. Mark Wisely is in the audience. And Mark, if you take a walk up to the microphone as I tell the folks a little bit about you. You just approved Mark as the new supervisor of special education in the Pupil Services Office. Mark will join us directly from the Lindenwold Public School District. He has been in Lindenwold since September of 2004. He actually began his teaching career in Cleveland County in North Carolina. A graduate of Slippery Rock University, where his undergraduate degree was in elementary education. He graduated with honors. He did additional certification work at Rowan University for his Teacher of the Handicap certification. And then his master's degree in education and educational administration is from Temple University, where he graduated with a 4.0. We're very excited to have Mark join our team and to join the Pupil Services Office. He's going to bring a wealth of experience and a new dynamic to the office. So Mark Wisely.
Thank you. So I'm excited to be joining the team and becoming a part of the Cherry Hill School District. I'm looking forward to collaborating with the rest of the team in terms of meeting the individual needs of our students. As an educator, I've always kind of had the goal of working to help all students reach their full potential, and that's something I think with the community here and the support that's here that we can continue to strive for, and it's something that I can support as well.
Okay. Mrs. Scarpellino, would you please move the P&L agenda for us?
Certainly. The superintendent recommends, and I move the following: approval of harassment, intimidation, bullying investigation decisions. Do I have a second? Mr. Goodwin. I'm sorry?
Actually, we're gonna hold that motion. We're gonna need to go back into executive session after the regular public session.
That's right,
to have a discussion before we vote on that.
Good catch. Mrs. Matlack, would you move the strategic planning agenda, please?
I don't have anything tonight, but thank you for asking.
Thank you anyway. All right.
Item for discussion was the Carusi Connected Learning program. Dr. Mahan first discussed how the technology team, and Mr. Plavinsky was with Dr. Mahan, I'm sorry, I should add, discussed how the technology team will be working closely with the C&I committee to enhance the curriculum, including but not limited to shorter window for park testing, a possible cross-grade level one-to-one initiative for the Title I students at Carusi Middle School. And this is a potential initiative in partnership with T-Mobile. The cost would be about $120 per device per year, and a staff member would be monitoring the students' activities, so look for more to come on that topic in the future. Our second item for discussion was the adoption of evaluation frameworks as per Achieve NJ. Dr. Campisi discussed the different frameworks that needed to be readopted by the Board of Ed. Dr. Campisi reviewed that this is part of compliance for Achieve NJ as well as for our upcoming 17-18 QSAC visit from the county. The third item on the agenda was related to Perkins curriculum. Dr. Mahan shared the curriculum that needed board approval to satisfy the final component of the consolidated monitoring regarding the Perkins grant, and this curriculum was on the special action agenda that we just voted on this evening. Next, we talked about the elementary science curriculum adoption. Mr. Goldthorpe gave an overview of the next generation science standards and how it should look during instruction. It should be hands-on. Mr. Goldthorpe also spoke of the work he's been doing with the teachers in developing the elementary science curriculum. The teachers have had training, which was conducted by 2 professors from TCNJ and the Stevens Institute, and every elementary teacher in the district every science elementary teacher in the district participated in this initiative, and it was very hands-on and engaging for the teachers. The units and lessons for the elementary Next Generation Science Standard have all been uploaded into Rubicon Atlas for your viewing pleasure. Next, we discussed the theatrical production request, specifically a theatrical production request that came across for East. Dr. Mahan discussed this new procedure by which the theatrical productions will be submitted for approval. It's a very significant packet. I believe you all have seen it in your Friday night packet. A copy of review paperwork will be completed and included with Dr. Malash's weekly memo as they come to us from the schools. Dr. Malash reviewed, Dr. Malash can expect to see approximately 5 of these completed packets per year. The first one was completed for East Fall Show, It's a Wonderful Life, and the packet met the standard, so the school can move forward with that presentation. Next, Dr. Malash discussed the goals for 2017-2018, and we reviewed those that specifically pertain to curriculum and instruction, as well as the homework assignment that we had from this week's Friday night memo. So hopefully you all did your homework. We had one follow-up from our previous May 1st meeting, which was the park presentation. Dr. Mahan had followed up to the C&I committee with discussions about schools of high growth. Barton was identified as a high growth school, as well as a low growth school. Bret Hart was identified as a low growth school on one slide. She communicated about the collaboration and communication with the principals, and Dr. Mahan also followed up about the math scores at High School West, citing longitudinal data as well as park data. We reviewed this final exam schedule for the high schools, and there was one clarification needed for a question regarding whether children were required to sit for a final in an AP class if they sat for the AP exam. And then we did have a little bit of new business based on some public discussion. We talked about the field trip policy and spoke of or discussed some of the questions that have come up in the community recently. And we did not have any public comment at our meeting. And that is my report, Dr. Dickinson. Any questions, discussion? Okay, back to you, Dr. Dickinson.
Thank you, Mrs. Seidel. Mr. Goodwin, would you discuss the BNF meeting, please?
Sure. We, for our BNF meeting, we had a couple of interviews with, well, not interviews, we had meetings or, I guess it was interviews with a couple of the auditors. We had 2 auditors that came into and put in bids to be the new auditor for Cherry Hill. We met with HFA and also with Bowman, and as you may have seen on the agenda tonight, we decided to go with HFA. The only other item that we covered, we did talk about our board goals, and then we also covered one item. Typically on the agenda, we have a lot of approvals for conferences and those type of things. And I guess evidently Cherry Hill is a little bit different than other districts, and we decided that to have a threshold before needing board approval. We really don't have to have board approval for all of the reimbursements for conferences beyond that are $150 or less. So like $39 conferences, those kind of things where people want to just go to a conference as opposed to having to wait a month or several weeks before board approval. We decided on having a threshold of $150, and anything below that can be approved by the superintendent, and that way certain things that people would like to go to don't necessarily have to be held up for the next board meeting. And that was pretty much our discussion. Any other items? I mean, any other questions? Or Mrs. Judge?
Did we ever find out why our current auditors never put out a bid? We did.
Yes.
We did. May I ask what they said?
Yeah, I did speak to Mr. Cleland. He was the auditor, the partner that handled our audit last year, and I asked him why, he chose not to submit a proposal when we solicited proposals. And basically, it's a personnel issue. They have lost, they have had several employees leave that worked on our audit last year, and he felt that he really didn't have anybody left that had the knowledge base. The partner that previously handled the audit, Mr. Gannon, has also left the firm. And given the proximity of Livingston to Cherry Hill, they decided that, that they were not going to put an RFQ, and it was difficult for their employees to get here. We did have a very pleasant conversation. I was relieved to hear that it wasn't me that made him not put the RFP in. They had done some work for us in December. We had them come in and audit the ASSA application. They said that they would forward that work to our new auditor, and that they would help us out in any way we can. So it was a very pleasant conversation. Timing for them was just that they were not going to put a proposal in.
Well, it makes very clear sense, so thank you. Thank you.
If not, Dr. Dickerson.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Mrs. Judge, would you discuss the HR meeting, please?
What I can discuss, yes, I would be happy to present, Dr. Dickinson. So the June HR meeting was held on June 6th, and as I usually state, most of the agenda we discuss in HR is confidential, but I can report that in the Friday packet, we all received our open fill report, and we will, for open positions throughout the district, and we will continue to receive that throughout the summer months. And we discussed some minor changes in a job description. We reviewed approximately 7 policies that affect HR. And we also talked about the board goals for the coming year and the homework that we were all assigned, that we all discussed at our June committee meetings, that some of us did not complete entirely. So, and our next meeting will be on, sounds like forever from now, but our next meeting will be August 1st. Any questions? Not seeing none? Dr. Dickinson, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Judge. Mrs. Scarpolino, would you discuss the P&L meeting, please?
Certainly. The P&L meeting was on Monday, June 5th at 6 o'clock. Our old business was a second reading of a number of policies, most of which originated in other places like HR or C&I, but some of them that originated with us. And I think you've all seen those already, so I'm not going to go through them. All of them, I think, well, most of them, if not all of them, were mandatory policies. So a lot of what we did was tweak language to conform to the statutes and the laws. So there wasn't huge revisions necessarily. Dr. Campisi reviewed the policies with us, and he clarified a question regarding early graduation, which I think came up in our last board meeting also, which is early graduation is now embedded in the high school graduation policy itself. So having a separate policy for early graduation was redundant, and that's why it was abolished. And the committee agreed that the policy should proceed to a second reading and action by the full Board of Education. Next, we had a follow-up from our May meeting. We talked about the policy and regulation 2436, which were the activity fee program. We had decided at our May meeting to leave the fees as is, which have never been raised since we originally initiated activity fees back in, I think it was 2010. But we did, I think, ask Dr. Campisi to look into what other districts are doing, especially other similarly situated districts with activity fees. And Dr. Campisi did reach out through the Superintendent Association as well as on his own, and he's begun to receive some responses back from districts, not as many as he would have liked, but so he's going to continue to collect some data on that and share the responses with us. But of the districts that have responded, it appears that our fees tend to be on the lower end of most districts who have responded. And in fact, some districts charge an activity fee per sports season, so not just for the year. So, but we'll continue to gather and report information on that as it comes in. For new business, we had a first reading of policy 1511, which is Board of Education website accessibility. Mr. Bart and Dr. Campisi will continue to monitor the district's website to ensure that the content and functionality are accessible to people with disabilities, because that is sort of an area that sort of the Office of Civil Rights is kind of focusing on now, making sure that everyone can access your website. And in initially reviewing our website, it appears that ours is in very, very good shape in terms of compliance, but there's still some tweaking that can be done, and that will continue. Next, we discussed policy 5610, which is regarding suspensions, and 5620 regarding expulsions. And for these policies, Dr. Campisi explained that there's additional language for compliance with 18A 37-2, which states that students in kindergarten through grade 2 shall not receive an out-of-school suspension or expulsion except when the suspension or expulsion is based on conduct that is of a violent or sexual nature that endangers others. The committee asked for clarification for some language regarding any board action as it pertains to the suspension and expulsions. In particular, we were having some difficulty understanding exactly at what time period does the board need to take action by in order to reinstate someone or insist that they leave the school or be suspended. So Dr. Campisi is going to speak with our solicitor, with our district solicitor, to clarify any language and adjust it as necessary. We next talked about policy 8505, which is the local wellness policy / nutrition standards for meals and others. And Dr. Campisi reviewed the changes to this policy, and the committee then discussed optional language that would be permissible that we could add to the policy, and we agreed to that it would be helpful for the schools and beneficial to the schools to insert the following language. The Board of Education will permit food in the school that is not sold to students to be brought into the school by parents, students, or staff members for classroom activities, parties, or snacks, or other food provided to students as an incentive. Any occasion where food is brought into the school for such purposes must be approved by the principal or designee, who will ensure safeguards are in place to protect students who may have food or related allergies. And again, this was just to have some consistency throughout the schools, because the policies vary wildly from school to school, so to make it consistent, and also to leave sort of, if you want to call it, local control with the principal, because he knows his student population and he can ascertain whether bringing food into a particular classroom or a particular school makes sense or not, or what kind of food can be brought in based on the population. Next, we talked about policy 8660, which is transportation by private vehicle. Dr. Campisi discussed the revised policy, which allows for more latitude regarding transporting students when buses are difficult to obtain, which we all know we have trouble obtaining buses at times, while still protecting the district from liability. He also presented the hold harmless agreement that would be needed to be put in place as an administrative procedure. So anyone who was going to drive students would have to fill out and sign this hold harmless agreement. We then discussed a section of the policy where if parents are transporting their own children to and from events, whether it be field trips or sporting events, and only their children, would the paperwork still be necessary, and would they still need to conform to the requirements in order to transport their children, including having sufficient insurance, et cetera? And Dr. Campisi again said he would research that question and provide an update to the committee, because we were not clear on whether that would be needed for parents driving their own children. And we agreed to move all the policies forward for a first read and action by the full board. There was no public comment from the audience. Let's see, our new business. The committee also discussed concerns regarding the revisions that had been made to the district field trip policy, specifically language stating that the Board of Education would not sanction or endorse any foreign, overseas, or out-of-country trips. There was some clarification provided, some tweaking of our memories, because it was many months ago when we discussed this. And it was clear that these types of trips are not banned. In the change policy, just that the board is not going to be in the business of endorsing or approving, but it's not going to prevent teachers who want to do this on their own from doing so. And so I think the committee was satisfied with the clarifications on that policy. And then lastly, we discussed the Cherry Hill 2020 Goal 4. Dr. Malash discussed the role of the Policy and Legislation Committee regarding the strategic plan. He stated that we had an assignment for the board that was coming in Friday memo, and the Policy and Legislation Committee doesn't necessarily fit into the 2020 as well as some of the others like C&I, but we have our work to do. And that was pretty much it. Any questions? Dr. Dickinson?
Thank you, Mrs. Scarpolino. And last but not least, Mrs. Matlack, would you share the Strategic Planning Committee?
Sure, thank you. We met on Tuesday, June 6th, and we had a couple items on our agenda. We started with the mission statement, which had been approved at the previous board meeting before that. And then we talked about the Cherry Hill 2020 plan. Dr. Malash asked the committee if there were any questions from the presentation at the May meeting. He also spoke about the timeline leading up to the referendum that we planned on September 25th, 2018. Make a note, I had the wrong date down there for that. So the committee got a timeline, and we discussed all the steps leading up to that date. And Mrs. Wilson shared a draft communication plan for the referendum with the committee, and Dr. Malash went over that communication plan with us. and he announced that the board will discuss full-day kindergarten at our Committee of the Whole meeting in July. In July, for our audience members, we have committee meetings each month, and each committee meets separately to discuss their business. And we started last year trying out something called Committee of the Whole, and that's where the entire board meets for a committee meeting, and each of the committees discusses their business with the entire board. And we're going to be doing that in July, and that's when we'll have our discussion about the full-day kindergarten as well. We also talked about the goals update, and Dr. Malash gave us our homework going forward, and a couple of us have asked for clarification on that homework. And then Mrs. Sugars talked about the current capital projects in the district, and I believe some of these are going on over the summer as well, but you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. She mentioned the east wall. There was a change order for that. We talked about the Barclays Security rebid. Barton, can't even read my own handwriting here. Bid for the fall work, was that rebid? Or was that just put out to bid?
That will be rebid in August.
Rebid in August, okay. Paving at East this summer. We talked about the Kingston soffit, and the Sharp canopy is done. And we talked about a curb appeal plan going forward. That's pretty much all we spoke about. Does anybody have any questions, or any committee members have anything to add? Okay, thank you. Dr. Dickinson?
Thank you, Mrs. Matlack. I don't believe we have any new business. Anybody have new business to share? No? Okay. We'll move into our second public comment. You may now comment on any issue. When you come to the mic, please state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes for your remarks. Please note that the green light will turn yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining. The light will turn red when your 3 minutes are up. That was for dramatic emphasis.
Wake everybody up.
When your 3 minutes are up, Mrs. Schultz will throw her name tag on the floor. Okay. Anybody want to share anything with us? The floor is yours.
I'm back. Okay, good evening. I'm here tonight to appeal to the Board of Education and the superintendent.
Name and address, please.
Oh, sorry, I figured everybody knows me by now. Helen Ferrante, 517 Mackin Drive. So let me start. Good evening. I am here tonight to appeal to the Board of Education and the superintendent over the recent transfer of Mrs. Woodruff from Stockton to Kilmer. I am concerned about the outcome of the partnership between Stockton and Yorkshire and the impending partnership with Wiggins School in Camden. The partnership has made a significant impact with Yorkshire Family School in Camden. As you can see on the school report card, the partnership started in 2015. Yorkshire in 2014 was considered underperforming. In 2015, Yorkshire moved up to needs improvement. That's when the partnership started. In 2016, Yorkshire moved to making progress. The next part is on track. As you can see, the percentages have moved significantly up for the Camden School. One of the focuses of this partnership was geared towards improving this part of the school report card. This was primarily useful through the administrator collaboration aspect of the partnership, which is very hard to replicate because it is based on relationships. These two principles clicked really well, and this is proven through the school report card. The benefits of this partnership are that both schools receive Kindness School Awards, amongst other ideals. This is a major accomplishment for both schools. This is also a part of the program that Yorkshire wants to build upon in the future with character education similar to Stockton. The transfer of the principal will have a major impact on the partnership.
The leadership that Mrs. Woodruff displays is a remarkable testament to her unwavering ability to support her students and students from Camden. The transfer will, in effect, potentially disrupt not just the Stockton students, but the Yorkshire students and the Wigan students with whom may not have the opportunity to partake in a very unique experience going forward. This partnership is a gradual relationship that started with primarily administrator, teacher, and student collaboration or interaction. This would be the third year which is slated to join the communities together with the PTAs. This part is to bring in more cultural initiatives such as joining the two music programs together to have the students sing and dance together in a performance, which was to be showcased on December 15th at Stockton. It was to be planned this summer. Another future aspect for the students were to join together on a field trip setting to interact as pen pals, but also to experience an educational setting together as one community. This was to start with the PTA to enrich both of the students' cultural lives. In fact, my mom, Lorraine Miller, was voted in as the new PTA president of Stockton. She is to play a substantial role in bringing the two schools together more since she has the added bonus of volunteering in both schools. There were even some talk of incorporating more STEM science activities through technology where all the schools would be able to participate through interactive technology. In conclusion, I am imploring you as a board to hear my pleas to continue the success of this partnership and to urge the superintendent to keep Ms. Woodruff at Stockton to continue the successful tradition of this partnership. Unfortunately, in Camden, traditional public schools are in danger of becoming extinct in our immediate future. This partnership has helped
Ms.
this
Ferrante,
school.
thank you. Your time's
Just
up.
let me finish, please.
Your time's up. Thank
I
you.
only have 30 seconds.
Your time's up. Thank you.
This partnership
Ms.
has helped.
Ferrante, please. I'm going to have to ask you to stop. Your time is up. Your time is up. Ms. Ferrante, you cannot continue speaking. We're going to have to ask. We'll have to ask you to be removed. Ms. Ferrante. You need to follow the rules if you're going to speak. Okay, next.
Good evening, Cherry Hill Board of Education. Thank you for this opportunity to address you. My name is Darnell, well, I want to get the first thing. My name is Darnell Hardwick, Camden NAACP branch, 1123 and a half Kane Avenue. I am the current president of the branch, and we serve Camden City and surrounding municipalities. I'm here to support Helen and Lorraine Miller, who are two of our members in Camden, in the Camden NAACP. And I'm also here to support this wonderful partnership between the Yorkshire Family School in Camden and the Richard Stockton Elementary School, with a theme of bridging the gap between suburban and urban education. It is my understanding that the current principal at Stockton, Ms. Woodworth, will be transferred to a different school in the district. I'm not aware of the justifications of the reassignment, but I would hope it does not hinder the positive accomplishments in this partnership thus far. According to the state report card, Yorkshire Family School has been upgraded each year, and I would think it's because of this partnership. I would hope that you take the information provided by Sister Helen and into consideration in your decision. Thank you once again for the opportunity to state the position of the Camden County Branch NAACP.
Frederick Dandes, 7 Woodbury Drive. I'm going to go ahead and help out Mrs. Helen and finish her speech. In conclusion, I'm imploring you as a board to hear my pleas to continue the success of this partnership and to urge the superintendent to keep Ms. Woodruff at Stockton to continue the successful tradition of this partnership. Unfortunately, in Camden, traditional public schools are endangered of becoming extinct in our immediate future. This partnership has helped this school survive in so many ways. Please continue to help and support your fellow traditional public schools and the students that they serve through this positive interactive partnership that has the potential to be the bright spot not only in Camden but also in Cherry Hill. Thank you for your time. All right. I mean, it's something that we've talked about in the last meeting. To get NWCPA involved in this, I believe that the board is capable to see what the community wants. I've talked to a lot of parents, and the problem that most of them have is that they don't have the time to come up here. I heard you mention, Ms. Sedel, that there was some conversation on some policies. There's a lot of conventions out there, and I'm sure some of you know the conventions that are out there. Yesterday, I was with the Cooper PTA. I think I've met only 2 parents who say that, you know what, it's a good change. Or not really, it's not like it's a good change, but they're open to the change. A lot of parents are not open to the change. Here's a case where the community pushing back on some of the decisions that you're making, and you need the community for the referendum. I think it's time that you considered some of the opinions that are being brought forward to you as a board and make the right decision. Stockton wants to keep their principal. Cooper wants to keep their principal. Kilmer wants to keep their principal. I again ask you to consider these transfers. To the least, at least communicate to the community why this is being done, because at this point, nobody knows why it's being done, and it's going on. I'm going to go ahead with the rest of the time that I have to read for you some of the stuff that the parents said. I'm very happy with Ms. Taylor. We have had 4 principals in the last 7 years. Dr. Meloch, 4 principals in the last 7 years. That is not stability. Does that sound reasonable? Personally, I don't think so. With the run of principals the school has had, the kids deserve some stability. The children love Ms. Taylor, and she loves them, and she knows all their names. She dances with the school. She dances with them at the school dances. She attends every event. Patrice Taylor has been a welcome boost.
Thank you, Mr. Donde. Time's
to
up.
not only the school, but the community
Time's up, Mr.
around
Donde.
it.
Time's up.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lorraine Miller. I live at 41 East Cuthbert Boulevard in Haddon Township. Thank you for the opportunity. I am an educator, a parent, and a grandparent. I am an advocate for all children. I feel strongly about the partnership. I am volunteering at both districts. I really would like some answers. I'm getting passionate and upset, but I want to know what's going to happen to the partnership. That's all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Benson, 605 Merchant Street, Cherry Hill. My daughter graduated Cherry Hill West. I graduated Camden High, so obviously I have a vested interest. We are all human beings here. We know how difficult it is in certain historical situations. If we are blessed and fortunate enough to have something that works, our humanity would suggest we would definitely need some compelling reasons to stop it from working. The problem that we're having is that we have not been supplied with this compelling reason. We know that something good is being discontinued. I appeal to your humanity. Either have a compelling reason to change it or leave it as is. God bless you all. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rick Short, 1002 Chelton Parkway. Tonight I just basically have 2 questions for the board. One is, today I just sent a long, lengthy email. I spent over 6 months researching Cherry Hill school security. And for some reason, when I sent it to everyone on the Cherry Hill Board of Education, it was blocked. So I don't know whether it was just your servers were down. I tried it from another email address, another Gmail address, and it was also blocked. So I would assume you had some server problems this afternoon. The same email that I sent, I also sent to the police chief of Cherry Hill, and I also sent it to the mayor. It has to do with security. This is my second question, and this is the tough question. You know, I can talk about camera security until my face is blue, but I can't mention what schools are weak, but I can tell you that you have over 16 schools out there that are weak, and I don't know how many times I can say weak security. So what does it mean to have weak camera security? Well, I can tell you this. This weekend, we just had some drug paraphernalia at our Kingston school. A parent reported to me, they called the police. We have no record of it. A couple weeks before that, we had vandals hit our purple dinosaur with all kinds of graffiti. This must stop in this town. This is not acceptable for Cherry Hill. Just like it's not acceptable to hear kids going down to the shore and starting fights in Cherry Hill. This is not acceptable. And I'll basically conclude with this. The sad, pathetic thing about wanting, like, at least cameras on the corners of our building and not waiting 2 to 3 years is this. The total cost of your budget is over $200 million a year, and you're telling me that you can't right now earmark 0.001 of that budget to at least have the minimum to start catching graffiti and to protect our schools better? You know, the first thing they do when they walk back into school in September is our children are you're expected to offer security. And guess what? It's not. Their security is a joke, and I'll keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it, and I have a video coming out. That's what it is. Thank you, school board. I hope to work with you, but it's quite frustrating when it's just going to cost you a mere 0.001 to actually do it and not wait 2 or 3 years to test everything. Thank you. Good night.
Anybody else?
Ben Novadia, okay. 100 Roanoke Road in Cherry Hill. Boy, this can be an adversarial mic, huh? This is kind of a lighter note, I think, than perhaps others. But we just had International Night at Sharp. It was our second annual. There are members here that attended. Dr. Malash, Ruth, Sharp parent, we're very proud of you. International Night started last year recognizing that there was an increasingly international makeup at Sharp. It mirrors the diversity of the district, which is changing, and also that Sharp is an ELL magnet school for, I guess, the east side. I had a long discussion today about hate has no home in Cherry Hill. And looking at the national dialogue, thinking about how very important that is to say, even though it's surprising that you'd have to say it at all. But it is important. And on that note, and others, I think people here have worked very hard this year. And I think you've solved many issues that came up. I know I was very passionate about concerts. We just had our concert. It was an amazing success. It was, I mean, thank you. You know, that was awesome. But I did run into a friend this weekend, and this was one of the people who I learned at this meeting several months ago was behind, let's think about Chinese in the district. I think it's where we're going eventually. But I asked her, you know, hey, I mean, we were at baseball, spending too many hours. But anyway, we were at baseball, and I said, hey, how is that going? You know, what's... And so, you know, I really don't know. I don't know where we go from here. It's not a responsive kind of meeting, as we know. And I would just say, I think it's a good idea for that group that was very passionate over a few meetings. I mean, obviously, they're not here anymore. She asked me to mention something, and I was like, I'm not going to mention anything. I don't know enough. But anyway, I'm here mentioning it. And just, I think it would be appropriate to reach out to that group. I suggested that she reach out to Dr. Malash. But just figure out, you know, there's a world language vacancy I saw. I know there are people who took French like myself who can't just be abandoned at 10th grade and there's no more French, obviously. But at some point, there's a way to work this out. And I just think that group would be encouraged appropriately to just say, all right, it's not going to happen this year, but in 2 years, we could do it with this kind of plan and just be on the lookout. And I don't know, do they need to go out and get signatures? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I think just some kind of resolution, it's kind of hanging out there, and I think it would be appropriate. I think there's enough interest. I took French, like I said, it was a huge mistake. I'd have preferred to take Chinese, who knows. If it were available, my kids would take it, and I think there are a lot of people like that. So I would just say, let's try to do that. I know the year's ending. But anyway, thank you very much for your service.
Anybody else? Going once? Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion from somebody to go back into exec session where we will take action? Afterwards? Mrs. Matlack? Our motion woman?
Do you want me to restate it? I so move that we go back into executive session to discuss student matters. Are we taking action? We are taking action, so we will come back into public session after that to take action on the matters discussed in executive session. I so move that. We need a second. Mrs. Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Matlack. Mr. Sugars, take a vote, please.
Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Judge?
Yes.
Mrs. Matlack?
Yes.
Mrs. Seidel?
Yes.
Mrs. Scarpolino?
Yes.
Mrs. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Tomlinson?
Yes.
Dr. Dickinson?
Yes. Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you.